Okay, so this will be the final video of this. You might see the completed project, you might not. I'm basically going to scale the dragon. And by that means I'm basically drawing little green circles on this dragon to make him look scaly. Now these are parts where you really kind of gotta stay in the lines. Yeah. Because that's like very important. Especially, I'm doing the head first because it's like the most delicate part of the picture. Now, in case you're wondering why some of the circles will be small and some of them will be big, because it gives the optical illusion of him having more scales than he actually has. And when I get done with this, you'll actually see what I'm talking about. So, in certain spots, like spots that are noticeable, I make the scales bigger. In tender spots, like the ears and where the eyes are, the scales have to be like medium, because that way it won't diminish the look of the dragon. Now, in some places, the scales have to be small, like in these wing areas, they have to be small because there's just no way a big circle can work. I mean, I can make it work, but like I said, some places they have to be small. And since it's been inked, it's not a lot of leeway room. The good news is that I inked it in black, and I'm inking it in green. So if anything is screwed up, the untrained eye will not know. I also try to draw in the same direction for the most part. Especially like when you're doing scales, you kind of want your scales to go in the same direction, even if they look a little different. Like if the pattern changes, most people rarely know that these ovals and whatever the hell else that you see them as, they're basically ovals and circles. No. But to the untrained eye, they will look like scales. Now places like around the neck and the base, I do really small circles, especially like because this is where her head is. So around ZZ's head, I don't want too many large scales because I don't want to take away the effect of her being there. No, I don't want the scales to draw your attention away from the girl wrapped around the pet dragon, armed to the teeth with her Z swords. And then like with the neck, it's easier to make large and small ovals depending on the angle of how you're going to put it in there. So in some places, like where the neck gets bigger, sometimes I make the ovals larger. Sometimes I make the ovals smaller because it's also easier to fill them in as you come behind with like little U-shaped lines. This takes a hell of a lot of time. So sometimes that's another reason why I change the size of the scales. Because if you look at a fish, all of the scales on a fish aren't exactly aerodynamically the same. But I always also work from the outside in. That's just something I do. It's not something that real artists probably do. The only real art that I actually do is martial arts. My drawing skills suck. My inking skills aren't much better. But I believe if my life was in danger, I probably could draw. It won't be impressive. It's not stick figures. But you know, I know that I can draw. So as you can see, the head of the dragon is done. Now just the body. And again, where you place your scales, I'm going to say it's kind of important and kind of not. Yeah, because unless somebody's going to sit here and examine this bitch and count every single one of these circles, they really have too much time on their hand. And don't try to get perfection. I mean, if you are an actual artist, you already know the drill. Knock yourself out. I do kung fu. Every now and again, I dabble behind an ink pen. I write graphic novels. Every now and again, I draw a picture to suit that beast. And if I'm lucky, no, this won't come back to bite me in the ass. Because I really do like this girl. I would really love to marry this girl, but I dream big. But nothing is impossible. Nothing is impossible. Just ask one of my heroes who's younger than me, named Jason Momoa, who set out to marry Lisa Bonet, and he accomplished that. So, I know Zeta Zhang will never see this, but if she gives me a chance, I would be that one. Yeah, just putting that out there. Speaking from the heart now as I continue to circle this dragon. So also, yeah, when you're making these things, you know, it doesn't hurt to widen the scales, because it also makes it easier for you to decide when you're gonna fill a scale back in on how big or how small your little scale is going to be. And like I said, I changed the scales just for the simple fact that it's easier for me to fill it in. No, versus trying to make every scale the exact same size. Don't get too caught up in detail like that, because that shit will drive you crazy. I'm also going to need to go get a pork chop because it's almost 10 o'clock. And yes, I did eat dinner before class, but I'm hungry again. And if you've been paying attention, y'all know I can't go over 130 pounds because of my hip replacement, and the doctors specifically said you cannot go over 130 pounds. You can go to 125, but you need to stay there. I believe I'm only at 121. I don't really know. But we will find out. And somebody's watching the hell out of NBC. And Sting just popped up on AEW. And yes, I am recording NXT. I love NXT. And I'm just getting into AEW. So I'd rather watch that and record NXT so I can savor NXT. I always wanted to be a wrestler, but because I'm like 5'3", and there's no Mr. Puniverse wrestling. Although honestly, I would much rather be signed and do like the managing thing or be a jobs. For those who don't know what that is a term where you are a wrestler. You are a signed wrestler. However, you are not a main roster person. So when you see these strange wrestlers come on and they either cover their faces or whatever, they're pretty much jobs. No. Another word for jobs, aka, and I'm going to insult some people with this, so I'm sorry. Can we all say punching bag? Or whipping boy or girl? No, to further others' careers, sometimes they have jobs. A lot of people who are jobs actually can wrestle pretty damn good, but they don't have the it factor for like TV, which is generally how they don't get the shine that they want. And some people are too big for TV, so you know. Remember that video I made about nobody likes a truth teller? Now see with the wings, I have to monitor my scale size. And for the wings in certain spots, I just go longer because it's easier. Sometimes it's even a squiggly line. You'll have to actually look for it if you want to see it. No. And TNA just went off. Travel Channel. Let's see what kind of scary stuff they're watching tonight. Okay, not Travel Channel. Travel Channel, you need to give me a job, though. I like scary stuff. They have factor fake on there. I believe it's all old because Jail or Chi Long is like a whatchamajig person now, like for makeup. The full-on Asian girl, not the mixed breed girl. Yes, the other girl is half Asian, the other girl is full-on Asian. Alright? As a person who is mixed, I generally can pick out mixed people in a room. That's like my superpower. Don't tell anybody. I'm thinking later on tonight after I take the dogs out, because I don't have a lot on my agenda tomorrow, that I will make more Scarlet Spider or Spider-Man 2099 videos tonight as I do my words of wisdom. The first words of wisdom that if you're going to be an artist, get a lifting table, because this is killing my fucking back. But I had promised myself that I was going to actually make this picture. So, and I didn't promise myself that I was going to make it for Zeta Zang. I just promised myself that I was going to make this picture because I really wanted to improve my artwork, if you would. No. I do want to marry the girl, but she doesn't know I exist. And she is awesomely beautiful. Now remember, sometimes you have to make longer scales, especially if you like want to get through a drawing faster. That's another trick that I do. If I want to get through a drawing like super fast, I will change the size of the scales, because you can always go back and like define them if you want. I generally don't. I just found the place that the eraser missed. I'm not going to go back and erase it. I'm just going to cover it up with these scales. As you can see, I started drawing the scales in the other direction. And sometimes that helps also adds to the illusion of more than less when they cross each other's paths. You know, again, an untrained eye won't look for these little tiny details. A trained eye, kind of like that person who taped the banana to the page and called it art. So now as I go around her body, I will do smaller circles in certain spots, like around her Z's, around her hair, anything that's closely to zeta. I try to do certain shapes so that I don't have to come back. Sometimes they're smaller, sometimes they're larger. It just depends on how I'm going to fill it in. But like I said, I work from the outside in. It's a trick that works best for me. I can't guarantee it'll work for you, but it works best for me. Sometimes I use the larger scales or the larger circles. Just when you're working on the outside in, you can start with the larger shapes and circles and stuff. And again, it makes it easier to come back and fill it with like smaller circles. And if you're going in the same direction, you know, sometimes that makes it easier to just like half circle it or half square it or however you want to particularly call that damn thing. So, yeah. And also, like when you work in the middle, you can use the bigger, but I advise if you're going to make them bigger to try and make them thinner. When I hold these things up in comparison, you'll understand. So you see from where you're sitting, they all seem to be somewhat even and okay. So, kind of missed a few scales there. Totally not going back to re-ink that spot. So hopefully that'll give you all the details of the dragon. Also, there's some tiny places that I literally missed. It wasn't intentional, I just freaking noticed it. Also, quick note, the smaller places, like what I'm doing now, like in between her legs and all that shit, you can use the larger circles or the smaller circles. I would advise to do a combo of both because it'll make it easier for you to go back and do the big work when you get to the big work. Again, try to keep the scales going in roughly the same direction. The key to that was the word roughly. Also, depending on your drawing skills, I would probably say if you could start with the smallest parts first and your arm gets tired quickly, then start with the smallest parts. But if you have like mad hand stamina, you have mad hand stamina, you know, then you can start wherever you want, but the smaller parts are easier to finish and fill in versus the larger parts, which are like the hardest part of the larger part. And remember, I work from the outside in, and I do that not just because it's a habit, but it also is way easier for me. Until you get to parts where like the body is twisting and contorting, that's when picking a direction becomes a problem. And I'm almost done. The only thing I have to do is fill in the rest of this dragon scales, and I have 2 sections to go. And someone's watching Chicago PD. I think that's what the show is called. Their TV is exceptionally loud. Whew, my back. 1 section left. Just 1 section left. Then I'm going to give you guys a comparison, and it'll be done. I still got like other detail that I need to add, but for the sake of argument, I'm not going to do it tonight. Plus, I'm getting hungry, and I really want to get a hold of those pork chops before my nephew gets a hold of them. And again, you know, when you're picking your scales, that didn't come out right. When you're picking your design for your scales, whether it's circles or ovals or half shapes, I do a combo of all of them. Mostly I do ovals and circles. Try your best to go in the same direction. It doesn't always work out that way, but if you do like crisscross, because I've crisscrossed this thing quite a few times, but you won't really be able to tell if you don't have a trained eye. I mean, I'm not going to point them out to you, especially since in about like 40 some odd seconds I'm going to be done with this picture, minus the details in the flowers. I had found a dry erase marker for the red flowers and the one black flower, and I gave her orange lips. So, for my crush, again, I don't know if you guys can see how well that is. It's not dark. I'm probably going to paint it. For the most part, it's the finished product. This is what it was based on. So, there's that, and there's that. There's those side by side. I want to thank you guys for watching. Don't worry, anything with ZZ on it, I'm not going to shoot arrows through it. And be sure to check me out. Yeah. And also, there's more of my stuff. Yeah. And then let's see, where is it? And then there's that. Alright, so these are the people that I follow on Instagram. As you can see, my crush is up the front, and everyone else is there. And I did some free advertisement for them
These guys are cool. So I follow a lot of people. Her and ZZ worked together and fought with a spoon over some ice cream and a sad boy. Anyway, I thought you guys would like to see that before I lock it up. And cook my freaking pork chops. But yeah. So, that being said, and knocking down my shampoo. That being said, I'm going to go chow on my pork chops. I hope you guys enjoy it. I'm not going to touch the bottom. Eventually I'm going to probably paint like the wings. And I'm going to paint her. I find paint. And I'm going to paint her name. I don't know if I'm going to put the fire in, but I'm going to paint her name yellow because yellow is my favorite color. I'm going to put her in her yellow and black outfit that she used to wear before her MLWs. And that'll be that. So when I come back on, I will be doing words of wisdom in one of those suits. Thanks for watching. Kung Fu Family number 2, BC and you.